You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 15 of the Battle Heat Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Granada. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir? Love the bucket
Brutal.
hat, by the way, sir.
I loved it. I loved it last night. That's
Yeah.
why I put it on, man. They gave it out at the game last night. We were there. And just to show the fans, it's reversible. You got the black side, and then it also turns into this side, which is really nice. And I guess I'll wear this one. I was going to go with the black because we lost last night, but this side is so nice. So
That's
I'll
how
just go
everybody was
with
wearing it
the
last night. Everybody was wearing it the way you're wearing it right now.
yeah. So I mean, I got an extra one, so maybe we'll do a giveaway at some point.
Oh, for sure, yeah, because I really liked it. I thought that was a nice touch. I hadn't heard anything about a giveaway, so it was really nice hat, and everybody was wearing it. But like you said, black, because last night was, what's funny is that last night was expected by a lot of people. If you looked on Twitter or anywhere else, everybody was talking about this is the game we lose. This is the quintessential trap game. This is the game where you just won the best game of the year at the buzzer. You got a big game against the Knicks on Friday. You find out that the biggest players on the Cavs are missing, so you should win. So you almost play with your food. You look past them, and then you get kicked in the face in the third and fourth quarter. And that's basically what happened last night.
Absolutely. I mean, and historically, Danny, the Heat have always played down to their opponent, right? Usually when they play a very good opponent, you see them play very, very well. When a team is, let's say, at weaker than, by missing players, unfortunately, they usually play down to their opponent. And that's exactly what we saw last night for, 3/4 of the game, except for that first quarter where the Heat, played fantastic. I believe they had 38 points in the first quarter. Other than that, it was a rough game overall, and we're gonna get into why that happened here shortly.
Yeah, it was, and it started well, like you said. They had, I think, Cleveland did a good job of crowding the paint a little more for drives, especially when Jaime was on the ball. We can get into Jaime in a second, but I mean, you got to give Cleveland credit because if the Heat would have won Undermanned, we would have been like, "Oh my God, what a great victory!" Kind of like we did on Monday, right? Oh, we beat Cleveland; they were at full strength, and we didn't have Bam and Hero. So you got to give Cleveland credit. Kenny Atkinson's a great coach, but this is, I think we would have felt a lot worse about today if we don't win on Monday. Luckily, we got the dub on Monday. So, I mean, I don't feel as bad as I probably would have if this would have been the second loss in a row, especially against an underman team. Uh, I don't know. Just it ruined the nice night because everybody was hyped with the Vice jerseys, the court. The vibes were so high going into yesterday, and you lost the opportunity to go into that Knicks game in New York, 8-4. We've been talking about finishing 10-10 in the first 20. You would have been 2 games away. I don't know. It's only one game difference, but I feel like 8-4 and 7-5 are like worlds apart. And I don't know why in my head I see it that way, but it's just 8-4 would have been so nice, and I feel like 7-5 is just what a lost opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you would have told me, Danny, at the beginning of the homestand that we were going to go 3-1, I would have signed it right away. Right now,
Of
looking back, we know we should have gone 4-0, and unfortunately, last night the Heat just did not play Miami Heat basketball. They had 21 turnovers, which led to 29 Cleveland Cavaliers points off those turnovers. We got outscored at the stripe, right? We got outscored 26-11 at the stripe. They took 18 more free throws than we did. And that goes to show you and it wasn't that the Heat weren't being aggressive last night, Danny. The Heat were being aggressive. They just either weren't getting those foul calls or the shots weren't going in, unfortunately. So, those 2 points right there, free throw line and turnovers, really were the catalyst to getting the Cleveland Cavaliers to beat the Miami Heat last night.
I saw it. Well, at least I felt it coming. There was a sequence where Norman Powell went for a dunk, and he didn't get the dunk. They went down, and then that kid Dean Wade hits a three. They come back, and I believe it's the very next possession. Powell's in the corner, takes another 3-pointer attempt, and he hits the side of the backboard. And then Dean Wade goes back up and hits another three. So all of a sudden, it's a quick 6 points in Cleveland. And then it felt like the momentum was shifting just a little bit. And then I believe it was Fontecchio got called for a charge. And all of a sudden, Cleveland gets the ball back. And I'm like, oh, crap, what the hell is happening? Next thing you know, the lead has dwindled down to almost nothing. And once it got to the second half of that third quarter, it felt like we were struggling. And usually that's when we lean on Jaime. Jaime, get to the rim, get to your spot, create for someone else or for yourself. And that's when things started getting really bad because Jaime, this is probably the worst game he's had this year. He kept driving and he got to the rim. So I give Cleveland credit for having more bodies in the paint, but he got to his spot. He got to the rim. He just kept missing these these layups, and that was really odd to see. But once Jaime can't convert on those layups, you start struggling because Cleveland is all of a sudden rolling with the momentum, and it felt like Jaime kept having the opportunities, but he just couldn't get him to fall, and that was, in my opinion, ultimately the game. When Jaime was having that many opportunities, he couldn't get anything to drop. I felt like that was the game. He also took more threes than I'm used to, and it's because they're almost daring him to shoot. Right? They're playing off him a little bit because they know he wants to drive. He took 4 threes. He didn't hit any. But I feel like as a player, you're like, okay, they're going to keep doing this to me until I prove that I can make them. So he was taking them, but he's not making them. So, Jaime has had a great start to the year. Obviously, defenses are going to start prepping for him, playing him in a certain manner, and he's going to have to start figuring things out. Got to start improving that 3-point shot just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got to add that facet to his game. We know he's not a fantastic 3-point shooter, but he can make, the 3-point every now and then. But that's another facet of his game that he has to improve on this season. We see that he's been extremely aggressive this year. He's getting to the basket, like you said, almost at will, and it doesn't even matter who's guarding him. He has, the skill set, and he worked on the skill set over the offseason to allow him to make those types of plays when the Heat need him most. And unfortunately, yesterday, just like you said, the shot just didn't fall. And you're going to have games like that. He's not going to be on fire every single game. It just doesn't happen. It's not realistic. And but like I said, the two biggest stats for me were the free throw shooting, because they outscored us by 15 points on the free throws, which ultimately is the game right there, and the turnovers, right? They, like I said, and I want to mention again, 21 turnovers, Danny, led to 29 Cleveland Cavalier points. And to me, those are two stats right there that unfortunately you have to win if you're the Miami Heat. You have to win the turnover battle. You have to win the battle at the free throw line. And unfortunately, last night we didn't win either, and the result was a big L.
Well, and, they score 130 points. You feel the absence of Bam, obviously, a little more, the best defensive player in the world, and you don't have him on the court. They scored 130 points. Jared Allen, which I know very well, he isn't an offensive juggernaut. He ended up with like 30 points, I think. He had 30 points. Yeah,
30 and
points,
10.
30 and 10. Like Nikola Jovic, even though he gives up some size to Jared Allen. Jared Allen is a twig. He shouldn't be putting up 30 on anybody. It was a rough outing defensively, but I will tell you one thing. I said that Jaime Jaquez not being able to finish at the rim was one indicator that this game was lost. The other one where I almost felt like, okay, that's it. This is the game, is we were a minute and a half, I believe, into the fourth quarter. There was still over 10 minutes left, and they had already had 4 fouls. One more foul, and they're technically in the penalty.
Yeah, they were in the penalty. I remember the exact minute that they got into the penalty. It was 10 minutes and 15 or 14 seconds that they were in the penalty.
So at that point, you're like, okay, so every little contact is now going to be a free throw. Slows down the game, slows down the pace, and then Jaime couldn't convert. It felt like a snowball effect because they had a nice lead. They had a 14-point lead, I believe, in the third quarter. Cleveland cuts it down. It's still close to start the fourth quarter, but once you start committing those fouls, then things just start balling and out of control, and it was just a disappointing sequence of events. My son was watching. He's like, "What just happened?" I said, "Papi, I don't even know how to explain it to you. Like, it just everything wrong just happened." So he was waiting for Pepas. He's like, "Are they gonna play Pepas yet?" I was like, "Papi, it's only the third quarter. Are they gonna play Pepas yet?" I was like, "You gotta wait." He didn't get to hear Pepas.
That's sad, man. Well, I'll tell you this, man. Maybe I'll take your son to a game, It looks like you were the bad luck charm yesterday. I know you said you went on Friday and they won, but I don't know why I didn't go on Friday. But maybe the days that we go, I'll take your son. And
Maybe we can't go together.
that's the key. That's the key. We got to make
One
sure
or
we
the
don't
other.
go together.
We flip flop. Yeah. I went on Friday. You didn't. We won. You went on Monday. I didn't. They won. We both went yesterday. That's it. It's two Daniels is too much.
Yeah, the battered Heat fans together in Kaseya
It's
Center
battered.
is too much for the Heat.
It's battered.
Yeah. Speaking of, shout out to the people in my section who started who we were chatting with, and we mentioned about the battered Heat fans, and they started following us. So shout out to section 115 for the folks that started following us.
And very cool with the East Plaza that photo booth they had.
You like that?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, when we got there, they didn't have anybody working it. So the little camera supposed to take a picture for you, like it wasn't up and running. So I had to just tell my kids to go in there, and I took a picture with my cell phone. I'm sure if I would have gotten the actual photo booth picture, it would have been nicer. But very cool setup. Fam had some salty donuts. They had my daughter had a milkshake, which she really liked. So it's like going to Heat games. If you don't go out there very often, it's always a fun time. On top of the game, and shout out to the Golden Oldies, first time that they performed this. We were so disappointed when we went on Friday. My daughter's like, "Why aren't the Oldies here?" I was like, I don't know. I don't know if they're maybe not doing it this year. So it was really fun getting to see them last night because they're always a fun time also.
Absolutely. Love the Golden Oldies. And it's always a fun night when they perform. They're fantastic, man. Honestly, I could see you and myself in the Golden Oldies in about 35 years. My
wife says she wants to do it. My wife's like, we have to do that when we get older. I said,
but I don't know your moves. You have some moves? I got a few moves on the dance floor.
Look, there was an Asian guy. There was an earring. That was like, I'd be that guy. He looked like he had some sauce. Andrew Wiggins had a pretty good game last night. You know what? I didn't think that when I watched the game that anybody played necessarily significantly bad outside of, and I don't want to kill Jaime, but that they had like an off night, because I thought Andrew Wiggins looked pretty good. Khalil Ware, I thought 13 rebounds. He only missed one shot. He looked pretty good. Norman Powell was his normal self. He had a couple bad moments, but he was his normal self. I thought it was Jaime, man. Jaime's rough night really did us in. He was 4 for 15. Okay, that's the first time I see the actual number. He was 4 for 15. Like it was a really rough night for Jaime. Nikolai Jovic also. Look, last game, everybody was like, "Oh my God, 29 points, this many assists, this many rebounds." I forgot the numbers. Everybody was so hyped. I said, "Okay, that's cool. I don't want to get overhyped too much for one game." This is the problem with giving him that contract, is that if you're going to get that contract, you need to be able to do that consistently. And he can't do it consistently. He hasn't shown it, at least. And we had the conversation after that game where Norman Powell and a couple people were like, "Oh, yeah, he gets down on himself. You don't want that from somebody making that much money, because he had a couple bad turnovers. So now what I'm thinking as a fan, like, he had a couple bad turnovers. I'm watching him a little different. Like, oh, no. Is he in his head now? And I started looking like, oh, what is he passing off the rock as soon as he gets? Like, is he playing now? And that I hate that they said it, because now I'm looking for it, and two, I hope that it's not true, because that was a big drop off from that game to this game, which is 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He was a negative 16 in the plus minus. It was a really bad night for him also.
He had a tough matchup, Danny. Unfortunately, he had to play center. He had to play center, and he had the matchup with Thomas Bryant, who's a much bigger body than him. He's not a better player, but he's a much bigger body. And then obviously against Jared Allen, and Jared Allen is one of the best centers in the NBA in today's game. And he does the dirty work. He gets the rebounds, and he has a very, very good post-up game. And unfortunately, Jovic and Khalil Ware had a very rough night defensively, both of them. And, that conditioned us, unfortunately, for the loss. But, yeah, I agree. Jovic needs to be more consistent. It's something that we talked about. But, I'm guilty for overhyping him after last game, after that game where he had 29 points. So, but I agree. He's got to be more consistent. And if this Heat team is going to be a top 4 seed, they're going to need him to be as consistent as he can be, because as you see, this Heat team is deep, but it relies on everybody to be a part of the game. And last night, unfortunately, Nicola didn't partake in the game as he's done in prior games, and that unfortunately hurt us in the long run.
This was a golden opportunity because you would have passed Cleveland in the standings, even though I know it's early in the season. The standings shouldn't matter too much, but it still would have been nice. They would have passed them in the standings. We don't play Cleveland again until March, and it's
Thank God, man. Thank God.
yeah.
I don't like this back-to-back
Well,
games, and
it's funny you say that because when we play them in March, we play them back to back again. We play them both games in Cleveland, March 25th and then March 27th. So basically, what we did this week, we're gonna do it again in late March. I don't know.
Why is the NBA doing this? And then we play the Knicks now 2 games in a row, a home and home, which I just that's boring, man. Give me some different teams.
I think it might be, and I'm just talking out of my butt here because I don't know if this is the fact, but it might be the way that they tried to mitigate as many back-to-backs in the league because you don't have to travel, so you get to stay in one city. So just get rid of those 2 games, and because they've been working really hard on eliminating back-to-backs as much as possible because everybody's complaining, right? Because one of those games would end up being a rest game. Do you think
this one ended up being a rest game anyways?
Yes, and that's what I'm about to say. Do you think that the Heat's pace caught up to them? They've played 4 games in the last couple of nights. Do you think it caught up to them? Because Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, that's 4 games in 6 nights? Do you think that maybe Cleveland was smart to rush their players and maybe that was part of it also? No,
I don't think so. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I just think the Heat had a rough night on the offensive end, and again, I cannot continue to point at those turnovers. It's something that the Heat has done well in the games that they've won is protect the ball. And yesterday there was just too many turnovers, especially in that second and third quarter. And it just allowed, I mean, the Heat, if you don't remember, the Heat had the lead. They were up 12, 13, 14 points at one point. And you were feeling good.
Yeah, I
thought
they were going to win.
Every single time that the Heat would pull away a little bit, boom, you would get hit with back-to-back turnovers, and they would hit two 3-point shots, and it would be from 14 down to 8, and then it would get closer. And that's how it was. It was back and forth for the first 3 quarters, but the Heat couldn't get over the hump because they kept turning over the ball.
Yeah, I know. And Greg Porter Jr., 3 for 3 from 3. I remember that when he was playing well. And Lonzo Ball, 4 for 7 from 3. Honestly, I don't remember seeing him. But that shot that he has, it goes in, I guess.
It's so ugly, Danny.
It's so weird. It's so weird. We got the Knicks on Friday, the Knicks on Monday. So we got Saturday and Sunday off. Then you got Jimmy Butler coming back home on Wednesday, which is funny because he's having a bit of a Jimmy being Jimmy, but really early on, right? Because it took us a while to see it here. He's already becoming Jimmy Butler in Golden State just a couple of weeks into his tenure this season. And then we got Chicago and Philadelphia. You know what? 8-4 would have been nice. But without knowing the roster that Cleveland was going to put out there, like you said, 3-1 on the homestand, you take it. And now you take at least one of these, 2 from the Knicks. You have Golden State, which has been on rough waters. You have Chicago, which has come back to earth a little bit, and you got Philadelphia the same. 10-10 is still on the horizon.
I think that he can win 3 of the next 5. I don't see why not.
No, I agree. I think they can win 3 of the next 5. But
now
I'm not feeling down after yesterday.
It's key to let the fans know that Wednesday, November 19th was originally scheduled for 7 p.m. because it was supposed to be ESPN. Televised nationally. Mm-hmm. ESPN has taken it off the schedule. The game has now gone back to original start time in Miami, 7:30. So, folks, be aware if you're watching the show and you're going to the game is at 7:30 next Wednesday. And then Jimmy Butler's back. Jimmy Butler is coming back for the second time. It looks like he's Jimmy Butler's doing Jimmy Butler things in Golden State. But I am happy to welcome him back with very loud boos and Jimmy, you suck chants. That'll be me. If you sit in 115, that's what we'll be chanting.
I didn't doubt that 1 second. And yeah. I'm not even. I don't want to talk bad about Jimmy. I know a lot of people are sour about Jimmy, but Jimmy had some cool moments. So, but at the stadium for sure, you got to let him hear it because Jimmy, that wasn't the most pleasant of years last year. Because I blame last year all on Jimmy.
100%.
That there was no turning that around. Unfortunately, that was all him. So whatever. All right. Any final words there, Solano?
No, man. No, I'm hyped for the next few games, and we'll see everybody on Saturday morning.
That's it. Well, hopefully celebrate beating the Knicks because that's always fun.
God,
If
I
you're
hate the
listening
Knicks.
if you're listening on audio, like and subscribe, comment and 5 stars. YouTube, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll be back talking beating the Knicks on Saturday morning. So until the next one, have a good one.